The movie begins as people announce a new deadly flu that has been killing thousands of people worldwide. Sounds a lot familiar. Anyways, civil unrest occurs as people desperately try to secure life support bunkers for their families, and the World Health Organization started the construction of 500,000 underground bunkers. Authorities promised that lottery winners would have access to the bunkers in 24 hours, and these are the people that were able to survive the disease. Inside the bunkers, 7 people were having a digital conversation from their domains. Orlando was one of these people in the domain, being rude to the others and confesses to murdering innocent people. After half a decade of being in digital contact with Orlando, the rest of the domain get tired of him and they decide to ban him. Denver and Phoenix vote against banning Orlando, while Boston and Atlanta vote to ban him, and the last vote was given to Houston, who refrains from taking a vote. Orlando continues to aggravate everyone, so Denver unplugs him, cutting off his feed. Later, Denver and Phoenix have a private conversation and they share how they feel about each other and fantasize about what it would be like if they were together. 8 months later, they were still in their bunkers, continuing the perpetual cycle. Atlanta asks the group if they'd like to pray with her, and Phoenix agrees. And after, they go through their daily reports on the situation outside and everyone's bodily functions. Atlanta notices irregularities with Phoenix's blood pressure and brain scans, but she says that everything is fine. Suddenly, the group notices that there's something wrong with their data terminals, which are screens that give them live data of everything. Phoenix suggests that they turn on Orlando's feed back on, thinking that they might have affected the system when they turned it off. She then asks Denver to work on restoring Orlando's connection, but he tells her that it's not possible, which upsets her, and in the private chat, Denver asks Phoenix to talk to him and explain why she was so mad. Phoenix tells him that she was imprisoned when she won the lottery, and he asks her why that was, and she unfolds her story. Phoenix explains that she never knew her dad and was raised by her mom. During her teenage years, she got into a bad crowd and started doing drugs, and she told him that she ran away from home when she was just 17, but returned when she OD'd. One night, she got high and felt paranoid, so she accused her mother of stealing her stash, and she then ended up stabbing her. Hearing this, Denver felt sad for Phoenix and told her that he wished he could do more to comfort her, and he understands why she felt bad about banning Orlando. The next day, Denver wakes up Phoenix and tells her that they might have figured out a way to lift the ban. Denver finally is able to fix Orlando's feed, and they try to call out to him, but they find out that there's nobody there. Phoenix and Denver then inform the others about what they found out, which really pisses everybody off because they voted to ban Orlando. Houston feels like Orlando escaped and might be coming for them, paranoid that Orlando was messing with his sleep cycle. Phoenix asks the group if any of them had tried their door since the terminal closed down, and wants to check herself but decides against it when the others tell her not to. Later, Boston opens a private chat with Phoenix and accuses her and Denver of not respecting the group's decisions. She then tells him that it's not a secret that she and Denver are together, but Boston is skeptical about their relationship and wonders why she chose Denver. He tells her that he feels like there's something creepy about Denver, but Phoenix disagrees. She then contacts Denver and asks him if they could access video Orlando made on his private recorder. He then tells her that it's possible if they're not hidden very well, and he gets to work. Denver finds different videos of Orlando from different days, which shows him working out aggressively, and in the last video, they notice static while Orlando was working out, and the video just cuts out. When the video was restored, they couldn't see him anymore, and they noticed that his door was open. They informed the group about what they saw in the video, which makes Houston, who hasn't slept in days, even more paranoid, and he's pretty erratic when he tells the others that he thinks that Orlando made up the idea of the virus and trapped them in there so that they could all go crazy. The group then try to calm down the very distressed Houston. Phoenix suggests that they should find a way out, which the group disagrees with, and they decide to wait until Houston feels better. That night, as they converse, Denver and Phoenix see Houston bashing his head on the wall, and they try to call out to his name to try to make him stop, and they see that the rapidly blinking lights and the sleeplessness has driven Houston insane. Suddenly, the image cuts for a few minutes, and when it comes back on, Houston was not there anymore. The group gets rattled by what just happened, and the next morning, Phoenix is woken by the group telling her that a rat had found its way inside her bunker. She tries to make friends with the little animal, but her friends tell her that it might be sick. They realize that her bunker wasn't alright and that it might have been contaminated. She then finds the emergency panel the rat came out of and asks the group to check if they had it too. They get confused as to how the panels were open because the bunkers are buried 30 feet underground. Phoenix tells them that they need to find a way out before they are taken too, and Denver tries to find more data on the common domain server. Meanwhile, Atlanta breaks the pipe that's constructed to automatically pass them food and finds that there's nothing but empty space. While Atlanta is checking her vent, her door is opened and she's taken like the others. Traumatized by what he saw, Chicago tries to off himself, and the team begs him to stop, but he goes through with it. Denver finds a way to access other feeds that aren't connected to their own, and they go through the videos to see different people communicating through their cameras, some being tormented by the light, and others have already offed themselves. Denver tells Phoenix and Boston that something feels weird because he was only receiving 1,000 feeds instead of the expected 500,000. They then realize that they've been lied to and decide to get out of the bunker as soon as possible. Denver decides to meet Phoenix at City Hall, but Boston tells them that he won't be able to make it since they're 3,000 miles away. The three of them then cut the power that connects to the door so it would allow them to open it. Then Denver tells Phoenix that he would find her no matter what, and when Phoenix opens her door first, she sees that it was a dead end. When trying to climb the ladder, something weird happens and a hallway was opened. Then from the next room, she sees Denver come out and they're both shocked, and they embrace each other and kiss for the first time. From the other side of the hallway, they see Boston coming out and he joins them. They start checking other doors and find identical bunker-looking rooms just like their own, and they find another door that could lead them to the outside and see that the world as it was as if nothing had happened. At a distance, Phoenix, Denver, and Boston see security guards chatting. Boston offers to distract the guards while Phoenix and Denver escape, and they manage to get into a place that looked like offices. Even though Denver urges her to go, Phoenix was adamant about finding answers. Inside, they find pictures of their mugshots posted on one of the office walls. Denver tries to get Phoenix to leave, but before they can do that, Kimberly comes inside the office and pulls a gun on them, and she tells Phoenix to get away from Denver because he's apparently extremely dangerous. Phoenix asks Kimberly for an explanation on what's going on inside the building, and Kimberly tells her that she's still in prison and that their lives were experiments. She explains to them that the epidemic was just a story they created to give the prisoners a better life in their bunkers. Phoenix asks why they've been taking people out of their bunkers, and Kimberly explains that the domain was being shut down because they had banned Orlando. And from that act of banning him, the public thought that the prisoners had too much freedom. Denver is very upset by this news and becomes aggressive and starts speaking really rudely to Kimberly. Phoenix asks Kimberly why they've been chosen for this experiment, then she explains that the psych evaluation of the 1,000 prisoners selected showed that they would be most likely to believe the pandemic story. She tells her that they were trying to control the amount of physical contact that they would have with the outside world so they can be reformed better. Kimberly also explains one by one what each prisoner had done. Orlando was a career criminal who was in and out of jail his whole life. Houston was in a gang and is associated with at least 20 murders, and Atlanta was suffering from postpartum depression and killed 3 of her daughters. Chicago was a prostitute and drug addict who murdered all the men that paid for his services, and Boston had robbed a bank with 2 of his brothers and then murdered them in cold blood while splitting the cash. Phoenix asks Kimberly what Denver was sent to prison for, and she explains that Denver had stalked and murdered 11 women he'd met on various dating sites. Kimberly explains that she wanted to create a humane environment where prisoners could be reformed instead of the violent ones where most of them are sent to. Minutes later, the guards arrive at the office and tase both Denver and Phoenix and put them in a holding area where they were restrained. Phoenix wakes up and sees Denver, and she accuses him of lying to her and for pretending that he loved her. But he tells her that he suspected they were still in prison after Orlando confessed to murdering innocent people, and she told him about killing her mother. He explains that it was fun for him to watch everything play out, and from this, Phoenix finally understands that Denver is a sociopath. They are then both taken back to their bunkers, where they see the other 5 cellmates that they've been talking to for the last 6 years. And Orlando tries to steal a gun from one of the guards, but he's shot and killed. And the movie wraps up by showing us all the prisoners having been returned to their rooms and now aware of everything that they did and why they are in bunkers.